In this video, I'm about to show you 30 canned salmon brands to avoid at all costs and 10 you should really be buying instead, starting off with number 30, Bumblebee's pink salmon. Let's be honest, Bumblebee's been around longer than most of us have been shopping for our own groceries. You probably remember grabbing these cans decades ago when prices made sense. But here's what most folks don't know. The 2023 Bumblebee Sustainability Report admits some of their older production lines still use BPA-based liners. The same chemical the NIH warns can leach into fatty foods like salmon and mimic hormones in the body. And because salmon is an oily fish, that risk goes way up. What's worse, most of Bumblebee's pink salmon isn't even packed in the US. It's reprocessed in Thailand, where FDA oversight is limited. The FDA import refusal reports show repeated issues tied to Bumblebee products for labeling and seal integrity defects, which can compromise safety. Add to that a sodium count of roughly 340 milligrams per 2-ounce serving, higher than most wild Alaskan options, and you've got a recipe for trouble. The bottom line? Bumblebee might bring back memories, but these days, it's more nostalgia than nutrition, and definitely not the kind of fish you want in your pantry. Number 29. Polar pink salmon. Now this one looks harmless. A nice clean label, usually sitting on the bottom shelf for $1 or $2 less than the others. But Polar pink salmon is one of those brands where the numbers do all the talking, and the numbers aren't pretty. According to the USDA Branded Food Products Database, a single 2-ounce serving of Polar's canned pink salmon contains around 380 milligrams of sodium. That's more salt per bite than a serving of potato chips. The label also lists vague additives like vegetable broth, which lets them stretch the product with water and flavor enhancers instead of giving you 100% fish. Then there's the sourcing. Flip that can over and you'll usually find "Product of China" printed somewhere in fine print. That means the salmon was likely caught elsewhere, frozen, shipped overseas, reprocessed, and then sent back to US shelves, a long, untraceable journey that leaves plenty of room for quality issues. Consumer reviews echo the same complaints: soft, mushy texture and metallic aftertaste. So sure, it's cheap, but you're paying for salt, fillers, and a mystery supply chain. Not exactly a meal you want to trust your health to. Number 28. Meyer's pink salmon. Now, if you shop in the Midwest, chances are you've seen Meyer's pink salmon sitting right next to the name brands, usually a few cents cheaper. But like a lot of store-brand seafood, the low price hides a few uncomfortable truths. First off, Meyer doesn't actually catch or can this fish. It's contract-packed overseas, most often in Thailand or China. The FDA import refusal reports show multiple private label salmon shipments from those same regions being flagged for labeling inconsistencies and underprocessing risks in recent years. Nutritionally, Meyer salmon isn't much to brag about either. A single 2-ounce serving averages 330 to 350 milligrams of sodium, putting it right alongside higher-end brands in salt, but without any guarantee of being wild-caught or sustainably sourced. And unlike Wild Planet or Safe Catch, Meyer provides zero sourcing transparency, no mention of fishery, catch method, or even whether it's wild Alaskan or farm-raised. Customer reviews tell the rest of the story: mushy texture, metallic aftertaste, and visible skin fragments. It's the kind of "can you open once and never buy again?" Cheap? Sure. But with no sourcing info and questionable quality control, it's a gamble not worth taking. Number 27. Chicken of the Sea pink salmon. Now, this one's a classic name. Most folks have trusted Chicken of the Sea for decades. It's been a household staple since the 1932, but the modern version doesn't live up to the old reputation. According to the Thai Union Group's 2023 Sustainability Report, they're the parent company, some of their production facilities still use BPA-based can linings, even as they transition away from them. BPA isn't harmless. The National Institutes of Health links it to hormone disruption, especially in oily foods like salmon, where the fats pull chemicals right out of the lining. The second issue is sourcing. Flip that can over and you'll find "Product of Thailand," meaning the fish is caught, frozen, shipped across the world, and reprocessed before landing back on US shelves. That long supply chain has caused headaches before. Chicken of the Sea was even part of Tri-Union's 2025 recall, involving potential botulism risks due to defective can seals, according to the FDA recall bulletin. Combine foreign processing, BPA uncertainty, and decades-old quality lapses, and you've got a brand that's coasting on nostalgia instead of safety. Familiar name or not, this one's better left on the shelf. Number 26. Walmart's Great Value Pink Salmon. Here's the truth about Walmart's Great Value Pink Salmon. It's great for their bottom line, not for your pantry. The label might say wild caught, but Walmart's own supplier disclosures show it's reprocessed in Thailand, where frozen salmon is thawed, canned, and shipped back to the U.S. The FDA import refusal reports have flagged multiple shipments from Thai and Chinese facilities supplying private labels, including Walmart's, for labeling inaccuracies and seal integrity concerns. Then there's the chemical issue. Independent testing from As You Sow's 2021 Packaging Safety Report found measurable BPA residues in Walmart's Great Value cans, even years after the company publicly claimed to be transitioning to BPA-free packaging. Considering that salmon is a fatty fish, that's exactly the kind of food where BPA leaches most easily. Nutritionally, it's nothing impressive either, around 340 milligrams of sodium per 2-ounce serving, and plenty of consumer reviews complain of mushy texture, tiny bone fragments, and a metallic aftertaste. So yes, it's cheap, but when a can's journey crosses oceans, its liner leaches chemicals, and it tastes like salt and tin, the Great Value starts to look like no value at all. Number 25. Pan Pacific Pink Salmon. This one's a little more obscure, but you'll spot Pan Pacific in discount groceries, dollar chains, and on Amazon for a couple of bucks a can. And that low price comes with a few things the label doesn't brag about. For starters, Pan Pacific salmon is imported and reprocessed in China, according to the FDA import refusal reports. In fact, from 2019 through 2021, several Pan-Pacific shipments were flagged for mislabeling and failure to meet U.S. food safety documentation standards. That means the fish inside the can could have been caught anywhere, handled by anyone, and no one could trace it back to a certified fishery. Nutritionally, it's also not winning any awards. The can lists 370 to 380 milligrams of sodium per 2-ounce serving, among the saltiest in the category. And consumer complaints on large retail sites are consistent: soft texture, sour odor, odd grayish color. The brand also provides zero transparency about whether it's wild-caught or farmed. Bottom line, Pan Pacific is the kind of off-brand seafood that cuts corners in every direction, mystery sourcing, chemical-heavy packaging, and flavor that tells you exactly what you paid for. Number 24. Ocean Beauty Pink Salmon. Ocean Beauty might sound like a wholesome, all-American seafood brand, and it actually used to be one of the biggest processors in Alaska. But its history tells a story that most shoppers have long forgotten. Back in 1982, Ocean Beauty was at the center of one of the largest canned salmon recalls in U.S. history after the FDA found underprocessed cans that posed a potential botulism risk. Thousands of units were pulled from store shelves nationwide. The company fixed its operations, but that recall is still a reminder that when canning isn't perfect, it can turn deadly fast. Even today, the quality isn't consistent. Many of their current cans list product of Thailand or processed in China, meaning the salmon is often frozen in Alaska and shipped abroad for cheaper packing. The result? Complaints of metallic flavor, slimy texture, and bones left in the mix are all over online reviews. A 14.75-ounce can runs about 320 to 340 milligrams of sodium per 2-ounce serving, right up there with the high salt competitors. So while the name still sounds coastal and pure, Ocean Beauty's record and its overseas shortcuts make it anything but beautiful today. Number 23. Publix Canned Pink Salmon. Publix has a reputation for quality. People trust the brand, and for good reason when it comes to fresh foods. But their canned pink salmon doesn't live up to the same standard. Pick up a can, and you'll notice what's not on the label. There's no clear sourcing information. It doesn't say if it's wild or farmed, or which fishery it came from. In an era when most premium brands proudly list wild-caught Alaska, that kind of silence speaks volumes. According to the USDA Branded Food Products Database, Publix's 14.75-ounce canned salmon contains roughly 330 to 350 milligrams of sodium per 2-ounce serving, putting it on the salty side of the aisle. Independent supply chain reports show Publix's private label seafood is contract-packed overseas, primarily in Thailand, the same region where the FDA has flagged canning facilities for labeling errors and improper thermal processing in other salmon shipments. Customer reviews aren't flattering either. Frequent mentions of mushy texture, grayish color, and even tiny scales or bones left behind. For a store known for freshness, this one's an exception. Publix might get your produce right, but when it comes to canned salmon, transparency and taste just aren't on the menu. Number 22. Food Lion's Canned Pink Salmon. Food Lion's canned pink salmon looks like a safe, budget-friendly option, the kind of thing you grab when you just want something simple for dinner. But dig a little deeper, and the data doesn't do it any favors. According to the USDA Branded Food Products Database, Food Lion's 14.75-ounce can clocks in at roughly 400 milligrams of sodium per 2-ounce serving, one of the highest salt levels among major U.S. brands. That's nearly 20% more sodium than most wild Alaskan competitors. Then there's the sourcing. The fine print on the back usually reads "Product of Thailand," meaning the salmon is processed overseas, where U.S. inspection standards don't apply. In fact, FDA import refusal reports have documented multiple Thai facilities, the same region where Food Lion sources its seafood, for labeling inaccuracies and improper temperature control during canning. Combine that with zero mention of whether it's wild or farmed, and you're left with a total mystery about what's actually in the can. Add the online complaints, mushy texture, salty taste, and bones throughout, and Food Lion's pink salmon becomes another cheap buy that costs you in quality. Low price, high sodium, no transparency. Number 21. Roland Salmon. Roland is one of those old import brands you'll find in the international or canned goods aisle. Sounds fancy, but once you check the numbers, it's anything but. According to the manufacturer's own ingredient disclosure, Roland's pink salmon isn't just fish and salt. It includes vegetable broth, hydrolyzed soy protein, and natural flavoring, code for cheap fillers that stretch the product while cutting purity. The USDA Branded Food Products Database lists it at around 370 milligrams of sodium per 2-ounce serving, which makes it one of the saltiest on the market. Then there's the supply chain. Roland imports much of its seafood through Chinese and Thai processors, and the FDA import refusal reports 2020 to 2023 show multiple Roland shipments flagged for misbranding and inadequate documentation under the U.S. Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. Translation: unclear origin and limited traceability. Reviews tell the rest of the story. Customers complain about mushy texture, metallic taste, and an overall off smell once the can's opened. For a product that tries to market itself as gourmet, Roland pink salmon feels more like a salty mystery stew than premium fish. Definitely one to avoid. Number 20. Demings. Demings is one of those brands that's been around for generations. The label looks trustworthy, the name feels familiar, and it's often stacked high in Walmart and regional grocery stores. But even long-standing brands can have a history that's a little fishy. Back in 2007, Demings issued a voluntary recall after the FDA found loose seals on select 14.75-ounce cans of pink salmon. Faulty seams meant air could enter the can, creating the perfect environment for Clostridium botulinum, the bacteria that causes botulism, one of the most serious foodborne illnesses there is. And while that's an older case, the problems don't stop there. Demings salmon is now often processed overseas, mostly in Thailand or China, where the same risks of labeling errors and reprocessing shortcuts exist. Each 2-ounce serving averages around 330 milligrams of sodium, similar to other mid-tier brands, but with no verified BPA-free labeling and no clear sourcing transparency, that's not much reassurance. Customer reviews consistently note soft, watery texture, tiny bones, and off flavor, signs of low-quality control. For a company that's been around since the early 1900s, Demings feels like a brand that's living off its legacy rather than earning your trust today. Number 19. Season Brand. Season Brand likes to market itself as a natural and premium seafood line, but the fine print and the data tell a different story. According to the FDA Import Refusal Database, Season brand was flagged in 2020 for misbranding and insufficient labeling under Section 403 of the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. That kind of violation usually means the company failed to accurately disclose where the fish was sourced or how it was processed. Serious red flags for any seafood product. Most season brand salmon is imported and packed in Thailand, far from the Alaskan fisheries that set the global quality standard. Unlike premium wild-caught brands that disclose catch locations and certifications like MSC, Season brand provides no sourcing transparency. Nutritionally, a 2-ounce serving contains about 340 milligrams of sodium, squarely in the high range for canned salmon, and reviewers frequently mention a mushy texture, strong odor, and uneven color, all signs of inconsistent processing. For a label that calls itself Season brand, the flavor it delivers isn't freshness, it's salt and shortcuts. It's the kind of can that looks healthy on the outside but leaves you wondering what's really inside. Number 18. Kroger's Pink Salmon. Kroger is one of the biggest grocery chains in the country, and its store-brand pink salmon looks like a reliable budget pick, but when you look at the details, it's far from impressive. Kroger's 2022 Corporate Sustainability Report openly states that their transition to BPA-free can linings was still in progress. That means some of their current stock may still use BPA-based epoxy coatings, the same chemical the NIH has linked to hormone disruption and potential metabolic effects when it leaches into fatty foods like salmon. Then there's the sourcing. Most Kroger-labeled salmon cans list product of Thailand or China on the back, countries where the FDA has issued multiple import refusals for mislabeling and under-sterilized canned seafood in recent years. Nutritionally, the 14.75-ounce Kroger can sits around 340 milligrams of sodium per 2-ounce serving, and customer reviews frequently mention soft texture, odd gray coloring, and bone fragments, all classic signs of low-grade processing. It's the kind of can that hides behind the comfort of a trusted grocery logo. But between BPA uncertainty, foreign reprocessing, and poor quality control, Kroger's Pink Salmon belongs in the avoid column, not your dinner rotation. Number 17. Trader Joe's Atlantic Canned Salmon. Trader Joe's is usually the place people go for cleaner food, that illusion of quality without the markup. But their Atlantic Canned Salmon from Chile is one of the few products that breaks that rule. Here's why. Chile's salmon industry is almost entirely farmed, not wild. And according to a 2022 study in the Marine Pollution Bulletin, samples from Chilean aquaculture were found to contain residues of fluorphenicol and oxytetracycline, two antibiotics widely used to prevent disease outbreaks in overcrowded pens. These chemicals can build up in the fatty tissue of fish like salmon and have been linked to antibiotic resistance in humans. Trader Joe's doesn't advertise any of that on the can. In fact, there's no clear sourcing or antibiotic disclosure at all, just the vague phrase, product of Chile. The nutrition label shows roughly 330 milligrams of sodium per 2-ounce serving, and because it's Atlantic salmon, not wild Alaskan, you're also looking at lower omega-3 levels and potentially higher PCB contamination, according to EPA fish data. So while the Trader Joe's label might make it look boutique and wholesome, this particular can is farmed, medicated, and misleading, not the clean food image most shoppers expect. Number 16. Members Mark Atlantic Salmon. Sam's Club sells this one by the case. Big cans, low prices, and that familiar Members Mark logo that promises quality you can trust. But trust starts to fade once you see what's actually inside. The label clearly states Atlantic salmon, which in almost every case means farmed, not wild. And the data on that isn't flattering. According to the EPA and Environmental Working Group EWG, farmed Atlantic salmon can contain up to 5 times more PCBs, industrial chemicals linked to cancer and endocrine disruption, compared to wild-caught salmon. Most Members Mark salmon is processed in Thailand or Chile, both countries known for intensive aquaculture practices that rely on antibiotics to keep fish alive in crowded pens. In fact, Chilean farms, one of the world's largest sources for Atlantic salmon, were found to use fluorphenicol and oxytetracycline residues in 25% of tested samples per Marine Pollution Bulletin 2022. Combine that with around 340 milligrams of sodium per 2-ounce serving, and you're eating fish that's high in salt, low in nutrients, and raised in conditions that would turn most stomachs. It's big box seafood at its cheapest, and like most shortcuts, it shows. Number 15. Essential Everyday Pink Salmon. Essential Everyday is one of those quiet store brands that shows up everywhere. Cub Foods, Super Value, and a ton of regional supermarkets. The can looks clean, the price is low, and the name sounds trustworthy. But peel back that label and you'll find more reasons to skip it than to stock it. For starters, the fine print usually reads, "Product of Thailand," which means the salmon was likely frozen in one country, shipped halfway across the world for canning, and then sent back to US. Shelves. The FDA import refusal reports have repeatedly cited Thai canning plants for improper thermal processing and labeling violations, both serious food safety issues. Nutritionally, the USDA branded food products database lists this salmon at around 370 milligrams of sodium per 2-ounce serving, high enough to push you past daily limits if you're watching your blood pressure. The brand also provides no BPA-free guarantee and no details about where or how the fish was caught. In short, Essential Everyday delivers on its name. It's basic, salty, and cheap. But if you're serious about your health, there's nothing essential about this can except the warning to leave it on the shelf. Number 14. Kohl's Premium Salmon. You'll usually find Kohl's Premium Salmon in the canned seafood aisle at Walmart, Whole Foods, and on Amazon, often sitting right next to brands like Wild Planet or Safe Catch. But don't let the clean label and premium packaging fool you. Despite the upscale look, the salmon inside is farmed in Chile, not wild-caught. According to a 2022 study published in the Marine Pollution Bulletin, Chilean aquaculture operations were found to use antibiotics like fluorophenols and oxytetracycline in roughly 1 out of every 4 samples tested. Those antibiotic residues can linger in the fatty tissue of the fish long after processing. Nutritionally, Kohl's isn't much better. A 2-ounce serving pack's around 470 milligrams of sodium, one of the highest salt counts of any canned salmon on U.S. shelves. It's also packed in oil, which can both mask poor flavor and trap fat-soluble contaminants such as PCBs. The brand offers no sourcing transparency, no BPA-free guarantee, and no independent testing results. So while Kohl's looks boutique and sits on respectable shelves, it's really just high-priced, antibiotic-fed farmed salmon hiding behind a premium label. Number 13. Giant Eagle Pink Salmon. Giant Eagle is a trusted name in the Midwest. Folks in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia have shopped there for decades. But their store brand pink salmon, found in the canned seafood aisle, isn't living up to that hometown reputation. Flip the can over and you'll likely see product of Thailand or sometimes product of China. That means this fish isn't packed in Alaska, it's caught elsewhere, frozen, shipped across the world for cheap processing, and then sent back to U.S. shelves. The FDA import refusal reports have cited several seafood plants in those regions for mislabeling and under-sterilized packaging, both of which can compromise safety. According to the USDA Branded Food Products Database, Giant Eagle's canned salmon clocks in around 340 milligrams of sodium per 2-ounce serving, which is on par with other high-salt imports. Customers routinely complain about soft texture, metallic taste, and bones left in the can, telltale signs of mass production and poor quality control. It may carry a familiar local logo, but there's nothing fresh or premium about this one. Giant Eagle's pink salmon is cheap, overly processed, and better left on the shelf. Number 12. Henry and Lisa's. Henry and Lisa's likes to position itself as the clean conscience choice. You'll see it in places like Kroger, Whole Foods, and Amazon, with buzzwords like sustainable, natural, and wild-caught plastered across the label. But here's the catch. Independent testing hasn't always backed up the marketing. In Consumer Lab's 2020 review of canned seafood, Henry and Lisa's salmon showed inconsistent omega-3 levels versus label claims, a sign of lower-grade fish or sloppy quality control at the cannery. The can also skips specifics on fishery location and gear type, offering only a vague, wild Alaskan umbrella that weakens traceability. Nutritionally, it sits around 340 milligrams of sodium per 2-ounce serving, which isn't low, and taste reviews repeatedly mention mushy texture, a strong tinny smell, and grayish color after opening. For a product marketed as premium, that's not the experience shoppers are paying for. Finally, despite the eco-friendly branding, there's no clear BPA-free certification on the packaging or site, leaving a question mark on the can liner, a real concern with oily fish like salmon. Bottom line, polished image, inconsistent data, and underwhelming quality for the price. Number 11. Crown Prince Regular. Crown Prince has a solid reputation in some circles, but their regular pink salmon, the standard salted can, skin divided by bones in, isn't the smart pick if you're watching quality and additives. Start with the label. A 2-ounce serving typically lands around 330 to 360 milligrams of sodium, which is on the high side for canned salmon, and not ideal if you're managing blood pressure. Unlike their natural or no salt added line, the regular can doesn't clearly state a BPA-free liner, and with an oily fish like salmon, that uncertainty matters, because fat can pull chemicals out of older epoxy coatings. Flip the can and look for the origin statement. You'll often see product of Thailand or China or similar language. That means the fish was caught elsewhere, reprocessed overseas, and shipped back. A long, opaque supply chain with variable quality control. Shopper feedback is also consistent. Mushy texture, metallic aftertaste, and small bone fragments that make the eating experience less than pleasant. Bottom line, for the regular Crown Prince pink salmon, you're paying for salt and a mystery can lining, not transparency or superior quality. If you like the brand, skip this SKU and choose a no-salt, BPA-stated Wild Alaskan alternative instead. Number 10. Ocean Prince Pink Salmon. You'll spot Ocean Prince in the canned seafood aisle at Walmart, Aldi, and many regional groceries, priced to move and packaged to look traditional, but the details say otherwise. Check the back of the can and you'll commonly find product of Thailand or China, which means the salmon was reprocessed overseas and shipped back to the US. That long supply chain is exactly where problems creep in. The FDA has issued import refusals to canneries in those regions for labeling errors and inadequate thermal processing, the kinds of mistakes that can compromise safety if a seal isn't perfect. Nutritionally, Ocean Prince isn't doing you favors either. A typical 2-ounce serving runs 350 milligrams of sodium, pushing this can toward the high salt end of the category, an issue if you're watching blood pressure. Ingredients lists on some lots include broths or natural flavor instead of just fish and salt, which helps stretch the can but doesn't improve quality. Open the can, and the experience often matches the label worries. Mushy texture, metallic aftertaste, and small bone fragments show up frequently in shopper reviews. Add in the uncertain status of the can liner, no clear BPA-free disclosure, and Ocean Prince pink salmon becomes an easy pass. Inexpensive on the shelf, costly in quality and peace of mind. Number 9. Double Q Pink Salmon. This is the big salmon patty can you'll see at Kroger, Publix, Sam's Club, and on Amazon. On paper, it sounds fine. Wild-caught Alaskan pink salmon, usually just salmon plus salt, and many cans even say, product of USA. The problems start when you look at the details seniors actually care about. Consistency, sodium, and packaging. First, sodium varies a lot by lot and retailer. Labels for the same double Q can routinely land anywhere from 260 milligrams to 350 milligrams per 2-ounce serving. If you're watching blood pressure, that swing matters, especially when a whole family batch of patties can empty the can. Second, double Q doesn't clearly state a BPA-free liner on the label. With an oily fish like salmon, older epoxy linings can leach more into the food than they would into, say, beans. If the brand won't say it's BPA-free, assume it isn't. Quality is the third issue. Because this is a large 14.75-ounce value can with skin and bones included, shopper reviews frequently mention mushy texture, metallic taste, and lots of bone fragments, all signs of lower-grade trimming and long, budget-style canning runs. Wild Alaskan is good. How it's canned is what makes this one a pass. Number 8. Aldi's Northern Catch. Aldi's big can looks like a bargain, and for salmon patties, it's tempting. But the fine print isn't doing you any favors. First, sodium. Labels for this can commonly land around 340 milligrams per 3-ounce serving, while other lots show lower numbers. That inconsistency matters if you're watching blood pressure, because most folks use half to a full can in one recipe. Second, the packaging gives you no clear BPA-free statement and no cannery details. With oily fish like salmon, liner chemistry matters more than it does for beans or tomatoes. Fats pull more from older epoxy coatings. Aldi does list this as Wild Alaska origin from the USA, which sounds good, but there's no third-party certification shown on the label and very little traceability beyond that headline claim. Quality complaints are also pretty consistent in shopper feedback. mushy texture, metallic taste, and lots of skin and small bone fragments, all the typical signs of a budget, large format run where speed beats care. Bottom line for seniors trying to eat cleaner. The price is right, but the sodium variability, opaque packaging, and so-so texture make Northern catch a pass. There are better cans with steadier nutrition and clearer packaging disclosure. Number 7. Brunswick Pink Salmon. Brunswick's yellow logo cans are familiar, and the price is usually kind. But when you're buying salmon for health, the details matter, and this can raise us too many of them. First, sodium. Labels for the same Brunswick Pink Salmon can routinely land in the high 200 seconds to mid 300 seconds milligrams per 2-ounce serving. If you're making patties and use most of the can, that adds up fast for anyone watching blood pressure. Second, packaging transparency is thin. The can doesn't clearly state a BPA-free liner, and with an oily fish like salmon, older epoxy linings are exactly what you don't want. Fats pull more from the coating than, say, beans or tomatoes. Sourcing isn't reassuring either. Depending on the lot, you'll see wild Alaskan claims on the front, but the fine print often points to overseas processing before it lands back on U.S. shelves. That long supply chain is where you see inconsistent texture and metallic or tinny flavor cropping up in shopper feedback, classic signs of speed over care. And unlike premium cans, you won't get clear third-party certifications on the label or much detail about which cannery handled your fish. Bottom line, familiar brand, budget price, but too salty, too vague, and too inconsistent. Number 6, StarKist Pink Salmon. If you've ever cracked open a can of StarKist Pink Salmon and thought it smelled a little off, that's because it probably is. StarKist salmon may look like a decent buy, but under the label, it's a low-grade, mass-produced product sourced mainly from overseas processors in Thailand and Vietnam, not the pristine Alaskan waters the packaging might suggest. Many cans list product of Thailand in fine print, meaning the fish was handled and packed in facilities with minimal U.S. oversight. What you actually get is machine-packed salmon paste, not solid cuts of fish. That's why the texture turns mushy and the flavor metallic. It's the result of oxidized oils and aging inventory sitting in storage for months. Add in the BPA-based can liners, the high sodium count, around 400 milligrams per serving, and the vague natural flavor additives, and you've got a recipe for disappointment. To top it off, StarKist's parent company was fined $100 million in a tuna price-fixing scandal, which says plenty about their priorities. In short, this isn't wild-caught nutrition. It's a cheap industrial filler that belongs nowhere near your pantry. Number 5. Pillar Rock Pink Salmon. At first glance, Pillar Rock Pink Salmon looks like a throwback classic, a red and white can promising wild Alaskan salmon. But dig deeper, and this brand reveals more than a few reasons for caution. For starters, most cans contain skin, bones, and even spinal discs, giving the product a gritty texture that feels more like a factory scrap mix than a meal. It's technically edible, sure, but it's the kind of canned salmon you regret opening halfway through dinner. The brand's marketing leans heavily on being wild-caught and packed in the USA, but there's no real transparency about the specific fisheries or how long the fish sit in storage before canning. That matters because prolonged storage leads to oxidized fish oils, which create that metallic fish tank aftertaste so many reviewers mention. On top of that, Pillar Rock still uses salted brine instead of its own juices, pushing sodium levels higher while muting natural flavor. There's no recent recall or scandal here, just an outdated production model, old-school packaging, and questionable quality control. So while it's not the worst offender, it's still far from clean eating. If you're looking for fresh, firm, wild salmon, this isn't it. It's a can of leftovers dressed up in nostalgia. Number 4. Blacktop Salmon. Don't let the word premium on the label fool you. Blacktop Pink Salmon is another can that doesn't live up to its promise. Sure, it boasts wild Alaskan origins and simple ingredients, but real-world feedback tells a different story. Many buyers describe it as overly fishy, sour-smelling, and inconsistent, with some cans tasting fresh and others like they've been sitting in a warehouse for years. That's not quality, that's oxidation and poor storage control. The brand claims BPA-free cans and product of USA, but those statements are tough to verify. In fact, EWG's database still lists older blacktop cans as likely containing BPA, which is a major concern when you're dealing with oily fish like salmon. Even the texture is hit or miss. One batch might be tender, while another is loaded with bones, skin, and gritty flakes that feel more like leftovers than a clean protein source. It's a brand that hides behind nostalgic marketing and old-school labeling, but under the lid, it's a gamble. For something that calls itself premium, Blacktop delivers far too many subpar cans to be trusted. Skip it, there are far cleaner options on the shelf. Number 3. Icy Point Pink Salmon. Icy Point Pink Salmon looks clean and trustworthy, but open a can and the illusion disappears fast. What you'll usually find is mushy flakes, broken bones, and a layer of oily residue that smells more like old fish than wild Alaska. The brand claims sustainably caught, yet many cans give off that metallic, sour odor that only comes from oxidized oil sitting too long in storage. It's not fresh, it's just preserved fatigue. The brand hides behind its parent company, Ocean Beauty Seafoods, meaning this is one of their lowest tier bulk labels, often packed for institutions or budget grocery shelves. Several older cans have shown corroded interiors, suggesting possible BPA-based or epoxy linings reacting with the oil. That's not a taste issue, it's a chemical one. There's no major recall on record, but that's exactly the problem. Nobody's watching this brand closely. You'll mostly find it in Northwest coastal stores, smaller grocers, or online seafood outlets, quietly sitting next to better options. If you want real wild salmon, skip Icy Point. It's the kind of product that gives canned fish a bad name. Number 2. Tulip Pink Salmon. Tulip Pink Salmon might slip under your radar. It's the discount label of big seafood chains, quietly packed and pushed through lesser shelves. On paper, it sounds legit. Alaskan salmon, no preservatives. But open the can, and the flaws hit. Many users report watery flesh, off smells, and oily film that tastes more like the inside of a fish tank than quality seafood. The texture is often soft to the point of collapse, not firm flake. What makes it riskier? While Tulip is affiliated with Trident Seafoods, its pink salmon line often comes from bulk, mixed lots meant for institutional or food service use. That means lower priority for quality control and possible blending of lower grade fish. Sodium tends to edge high to mask blandness, and there's little transparency on can liner materials or batch traceability. Worst of all, Tulip's distribution is sneaky. You won't see it in blockbuster chains. It turns up in dollar stores, rural grocers, or discount bins. Many consumers don't even realize they've bought it until that metallic aftertaste gives it away. It's a blind buy brand. Avoid unless your back is up against the wall. Number 1. Pantry Shelf Pink Salmon. This brand flies completely under the radar, but that's exactly why it's a problem. Pantry Shelf Pink Salmon shows up in dollar stores, small town groceries, and discount outlets across the Midwest and South. It looks generic, with a plain blue or red label, and packed in USA stamped on the back, but that's where the clarity ends. The company behind it, Pinnacle Foods Group, sources salmon from multiple low-cost suppliers, meaning the contents can vary wildly from one batch to another. Some cans are reportedly fine, while others are gray, sour-smelling, or full of bones and fatty sludge that separates into orange oil when opened. Many consumer reviews point out strong metallic flavors, a dead giveaway for poor can linings or long-term oxidation. There's also no verified BPA-free claim, no sourcing transparency, and no sustainability certification. It's the kind of brand that's there to fill shelves, not feed people well. You'll mostly find it in Dollar Tree, Family Dollar, or liquidation chains, where it competes on price alone. Cheap? Yes, but between the off-putting smell, salt-heavy broth, and uncertain origin, Pantry Shelf Pink Salmon is one to steer clear of. But hey, allow me to tell you not all canned salmon is negative, as here are the 10 you should actually be buying instead, and why. Starting with number 10, Wild Planet Wild Sockeye Salmon. Finally, a canned salmon that actually deserves to be called premium. Wild Planet Wild Sockeye Salmon sets the standard for clean, transparent, and responsibly sourced seafood. Every can is filled with 100% wild-caught Alaskan sockeye, not a random blend of pinks and chums like the cheap brands use. It's packed in its own natural juices, never oil or brine. which keeps the sodium low and the flavor pure. Wild Planet is one of the few companies that verifies its sourcing all the way back to the fishery, with full traceability and sustainable catch certifications. Their cans are BPA-free, the meat is firm and ruby red, and you'll never find bones, skin fragments, or that unpleasant metallic aftertaste you get from low-tier products. It's rich in omega-3 seconds and protein, but clean enough for daily meals. Taste-wise, it's the opposite of industrial seafood: fresh, balanced, and naturally flavorful. Wild Planet proves that canned fish can be both healthy and ethical. It's not cheap, but in this case, you really do get what you pay for. Number 9. Safe Catch Wild Pink Salmon. If you want the cleanest, safest canned salmon on American shelves, Safe Catch Wild Pink Salmon is the benchmark. This brand goes further than almost anyone in quality control. Every single batch of salmon is individually tested for mercury and contaminants, something the big corporate brands never bother with. It's wild caught in Alaska, traceable back to the specific fishery, and packed with zero additives, no salt, no preservatives, no filler oils, just pure salmon and its own juices. Unlike low-end brands that soak their product in brine to hide old fish, Safe Catch keeps the texture firm and moist, with a flavor that actually tastes fresh. The cans are BPA-free, non-GMO certified, and MSC verified for sustainable practices. Each serving delivers high omega-3 content without the heavy metal baggage you risk from mass-produced imports. Open a can and you'll notice the difference immediately. No oily residue, no bones, no chemical smell, just clean, pink flakes that look and taste like real fish. For anyone serious about eating healthy without compromise, Safe Catch isn't just good, it's the gold standard of canned salmon. Number 8. Patagonia Provisions Wild Sockeye Salmon. When it comes to quality, ethics, and flavor, Patagonia Provisions Wild Sockeye Salmon is in a league of its own. This isn't mass-market seafood, it's line-caught in Alaska's Bristol Bay, one of the cleanest and most heavily protected fisheries on Earth. Each fillet is hand-packed, not mechanically shredded, and sealed in BPA-free, non-toxic steel cans that preserve both flavor and nutrients without the chemical risk found in cheaper products. Patagonia doesn't just sell fish, they're rebuilding how seafood is sourced. Their salmon comes from small-scale fisheries with 100% traceability, meaning you can track your can back to the boat it came from. The taste is clean and bold, with that deep red sockeye color you only get from true wild fish. There's no salt brine, no preservatives, and no added oil. Just rich, pure salmon in its own juices. It's pricier than grocery store brands, but this is one of the few that's genuinely worth it. For those who care about sustainability, nutrition, and real taste, Patagonia Provisions represents what canned salmon was always meant to be: pure, ethical, and elite. Number 7. Honeyboy Pink Salmon. If you're after a dependable can of salmon that actually lives up to its wild-caught promise, Honeyboy Pink Salmon deserves a mention. Packed directly from Alaska's coastal fisheries, this brand keeps things simple: just salmon and salt, nothing more. No additives, no preservatives, and no mystery oils floating on top. It's a straightforward product that focuses on what matters: clean protein and natural flavor. Owned by OBI Seafoods, the same company behind several respected Alaskan brands, Honeyboy is proudly labeled Product of the USA and BPA-free. The flavor is mild yet fresh, without that metallic or fish tank taste that ruins most low-tier pink salmon. The texture stays firm when drained properly, and while you might find the occasional bone or skin fragment, that's the trade-off for truly wild, minimally processed fish. Nutritionally, it's lean, about 100 calories per serving, rich in omega-3 seconds and low in fat, making it a great choice for anyone watching sodium and additives. It's not a boutique brand, but for consistent, trustworthy wild salmon available in most big box stores, Honeyboy holds its ground on the good side of the list. Number 6. King Oscar Premium Salmon. Not every good canned salmon has to come from Alaska. King Oscar Premium Salmon is proof that even a farmed option can still be clean, mild, and reliable if handled right. Packed in extra virgin olive oil with just a touch of salt, each can contains skinless, boneless Atlantic salmon fillets sourced from responsibly farmed Norwegian waters. The flavor is subtle and buttery, not fishy, and the olive oil keeps the meat moist while boosting its healthy fat content. Unlike the cheaper brine-packed brands, King Oscar's salmon comes in BPA-NI cans, BPA not intended, and undergoes testing for common contaminants. The fillets hold together well, firm, pink, and perfect for sandwiches or salads without the mess of bones or skin. It's an excellent entry point for people who don't like the stronger taste of wild sockeye or pink salmon. That said, it's not wild-caught, and that's the only reason it doesn't rank higher. But as a clean, easy-to-find, mild-tasting alternative with strong consumer trust, King Oscar Premium Salmon earns its place on the good list, with a small asterisk for purists. Number 5. Kirkland Signature's Wild Alaskan Pink Salmon. When it comes to dependable, large-scale brands that actually deliver clean seafood, Kirkland Signature Wild Alaskan Pink Salmon stands near the top. Unlike most grocery store cans filled with imported low-quality fish, this product is wild-caught straight from Alaska's cold waters, processed and packed in the United States. Each can contains skinless and boneless pink salmon, lightly salted and free from preservatives, additives, or mystery oils. Kirkland keeps it simple, just salmon and salt, but the taste is surprisingly fresh and mild. The meat holds its shape well, and the color is bright pink instead of the dull, grayish tone you see in low-end brands. It's rich in omega-3 fatty acids, high in protein, and relatively low in sodium, making it a smart choice for daily use. Packaged in BPA-free 6-ounce cans, the quality control is consistent, especially compared to generic grocery brands. Costco's sourcing transparency and adherence to Alaskan sustainability standards give it extra credibility. For shoppers wanting bulk value without sacrificing purity, Kirkland's Wild Alaskan Pink Salmon offers one of the best balances between price, taste, and nutritional integrity on the U.S. market. Number 4. Wild Fish Cannery Smoked King Salmon. If there's one canned salmon that feels more like fine dining than pantry food, it's Wild Fish Cannery Smoked King Salmon. Hand-packed in Alaska by a small family-run cannery, this isn't mass-produced seafood, it's a craft product made in limited batches. Each fillet of wild-caught king salmon is lightly brined, slow-smoked over alder wood, and sealed to preserve its buttery texture and deep, savory aroma. The result is a tender, smoky, melt-in-your-mouth experience that tastes closer to restaurant-grade salmon than anything you'd expect from a can. Wild Fish avoids additives, preservatives, and fillers entirely, just pure fish, sea salt, and smoke. The brand is known for obsessive attention to detail, and it shows. Every tin opens to thick, golden pieces of salmon with natural oils glistening on the surface. It's high in protein, rich in omega-3 seconds, and sourced directly from sustainably managed Alaskan waters. This one isn't cheap. It's a premium tin made for those who want authenticity over convenience. But if you want to taste what canned salmon can truly be when done right, Wild Fish Cannery's Smoked King Salmon is in a class of its own. Number 3. Pure Alaska Redhead Wild Sockeye Salmon. If you're looking for canned salmon that truly stands out in quality, Pure Alaska Redhead Wild Sockeye Salmon is one of the few that delivers a fresh-caught experience straight from Alaska. The fish is processed within hours of harvest in Bristol Bay, one of the most pristine and productive sockeye fisheries in the world. This brand skips the shortcuts. There are no additives, preservatives, or water fillers. Just pure, rich, wild-caught salmon, sealed to preserve its natural oils and flavor. The meat has a deep red color, firm texture, and buttery taste that's miles ahead of the pale pink mush you find in budget cans. It's naturally packed with omega-3 seconds, vitamin D, and high-quality protein. Even their no-salt added version lets the authentic salmon flavor shine through, making it ideal for clean eating. Yes, it's expensive, but that's because you're getting small batch hand-processed sockeye rather than mass-produced fish. Each can reminds you what real Alaskan salmon is supposed to taste like. For those who care about purity, sustainability, and flavor that actually feels premium, Pure Alaska Redhead earns its place on the good list. Number 2. American Salmon Premium Pink Salmon. In the world of canned salmon, American Salmon Premium Pink Salmon is one of those hidden gems that doesn't get enough airtime. This brand markets itself as wild-caught Alaskan pink with minimal processing, no added oils, no unnecessary fillers, just salmon and salt. Their premium label isn't just marketing fluff. Many users report firm, moist flakes, clear salmon flavor, and a respectable balance between richness and mildness. One recent blind taste test from Daring Kitchen ranked it among the top pink salmon options, praising its consistency across tins. That's rare in a market where flavor, texture, and saltiness vary wildly. As a premium pink, it offers a more accessible price point than sockeye, while still delivering solid taste and nutrition. That said, it falls short of perfection. Because it's less established, batch variation is more likely, and fewer independent lab or consumer reviews exist to back every lot. Also, unlike big brands, American salmon doesn't always have widespread retail presence. It's more common in niche or specialty aisles. Still, for viewers who want a next-level pink option beyond supermarket basics, American Salmon Premium Pink is absolutely worth a test spoon. Number 1. Bear and Wolf Wild Alaskan Pink Salmon. Sold primarily at Costco, Bear and Wolf Wild Alaskan Pink Salmon has become a quiet favorite among people who want genuine Alaskan salmon without paying premium boutique prices. It's wild-caught in Alaska, processed in the U.S., and packed with nothing but pink salmon and salt, no preservatives, no oils, and no mystery brine. Each 7.5-ounce can opens to firm, flaky meat with a clean, ocean-fresh aroma instead of that metallic or muddy scent common in cheaper brands. Consumers consistently note that it has less liquid and better texture than most store-brand options, and its bright color reflects real wild harvest quality. Nutritionally, it's loaded with omega-3 seconds, high protein, and zero carbs. The cans are BPA-free, shelf-stable, and typically sold in multi-packs at Costco, making it one of the best value-to-quality ratios in the market. The brand doesn't rely on marketing gimmicks, just solid sourcing and clean processing. For anyone wanting large-scale reliability with authentic Alaskan flavor, Bear and Wolf Wild Alaskan Pink Salmon deserves a firm spot on the good list.